Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Russell Youngblood, Senior Solution Architect at OutSystems, and with me today is Teresa, a Senior Software Engineer at OutSystems, and we're here today to show you how the workflow editor in OutSystems Developer Cloud has evolved into a mature, reliable, and quite frankly, indispensable asset for building processes. Later in this session, we'll show you an impressive workflow example in which a loan decision is made in just a few seconds with the assistance of an AI agent embedded in the workflow. There's no human clicks, no bottlenecks, and the artificial intelligence even provides an explanation of why I made the decision. By the end of this session, you'll know exactly how we built this application and how you can do the same. But before we get to that, here's a quick summary of what we're going to cover. We're going to take you inside the workflow editor and show you the value that it can bring to your software development practice and how it's evolved to become a really powerful asset for you in the OutSystems stack. And since AI Agent Workbench has just been released, we'll also show you how to integrate AI agents into the workflows that you build. Before we dive in, let's take a look at the types of applications that would typically benefit from workflow capabilities. These applications might include some type of order or invoice management, claims or case management system, or even a loan origination application, which is what we're going to show you today. Now, take just a moment and think of an application that you might have built that might be similar to one of these use cases. If there was a workflow associated with that application, think back to was it smooth and transparent, or was it difficult and cumbersome to deal with? Unfortunately, difficult and cumbersome process solutions are commonplace, but with ODC Workflow Editor, we can change all of that. In OutSystems Developer Cloud, workflows are actually a new asset type, and they're decoupled from the other assets that you'll create. So now we have applications, libraries, workflows, and AI agents that can be used to create scalable and easy to manage applications. The Workflow Editor is a visual web-based tool that lets you design and implement business processes directly in your browser from the ODC portal. In the canvas, you can add and configure activities such as start and conditional starts that trigger only when specific conditions are met. We have end or terminate activities that will define how the process finishes. We have human activities to assign work to specific roles. Automatic activities will run logic or integrations in the background. We have decision activities that can branch based on business rules. Wait activities will pause the workflow until an event or a set time. And finally, we have parallel activities that will run multiple branches at the same time. And all of this comes with AI agent and SLE integration and seamless integration into your applications, your data, and reusable components. But wait, there's more. Because it's not just about automation, it's about gaining visibility into every step and using that insight to drive continuous improvement. With the Workflow Editor, we can measure how long each activity takes and pinpoint where there may be issues. And because these workflows are versioned and integrated, we can restore to a previous version of the workflow at any point in time. And finally, with the AI Agent Workbench, we can build AI agents and integrate them into the workflow, pushing this automation even further. Since its launch, the Workflow Editor has evolved into a mature, dependable foundation for process design and improvement. Once again, it's a new asset type with its own lifecycle. It supports reusability so we can reuse activities and components inside the same workflow. It's built on an event-driven architecture, reacting instantly to changes. And with analytics and troubleshooting, we can monitor execution, detect bottlenecks, and continuously optimize. Combined with SLA tracking and parallel flows, it's a true foundation that we can rely on. We mentioned AI agents earlier because the Workflow Editor has been specifically designed to enable AI orchestration across your applications. Developers and non-developers can easily add orchestration components to the workflow diagrams. The AI agents can analyze data mid-workflow and influence the next steps. You can easily update or replace the AI provider, and developers can also leverage these tools to track AI usage and align them with business objectives. So this is why the Workflow Editor in ODC matters. It empowers us to design smarter processes, monitor and refine them over time, and extend them with AI-driven capabilities that can push that automation even further. But why don't we take this a little bit further? Teresa, Remember that tricky process that we were reviewing last week? We had quite a few changes to make, so could you show everyone how you would handle that now using the workflow editor?
Yeah, we can do that, Russell. So let's walk through that workflow together. So the setup is ready on my side. So as you go, I will show you how it works so we can see and understand these concepts in action. Actually, in this workflow, we want to track progress using instance labels, handle waits and timeouts, run steps inside parallel flows, and also reuse some components to simplify the design of our process. We also want to check the revision history and see how an AI agent can be integrated into our workflow, taking, of course, advantage of the new search tool in the editor to boost our performance. So I think we are ready. Let's jump in. So I will share my screen right now. Thank you. Let me share here. So before we get things moving, let me set the stage really quick. What we have here is a loan banking application, an app designed to help financial institutions manage and process loan applications from start to finish. At the center of this, we have this workflow that automates each step from identity verification to credit analysis. Right now, the final approval decision is still made by a human loan officer, but our goal here today is to have an AI-driven making very, very soon, and we will highlight exactly where that should be integrated in our workflow. So now let me show you how this workflow integrates with the core systems used by the bank. So first of all, we have here our digital banking portal where customers can submit their loan applications. This is basically the front door. So here the client can provide their loan amount and term, upload a proof of income, and also submit their application. On the other side, we have the home banking back office where bank staff can monitor and manage these loan requests as they move through the process. They can also assess the details of each of these requests, assess some documentation or history log. Moving on to our star, our workflow. At the top of here, you can see that we have our starts with an instance label, which uniquely identifies this loan application as it moves through the process. Actually, this is great for tracking, especially when we are processing a large volume of data at the same time, since with this, we can effectively match the instance with the corresponding requests. In fact, as you can see here, we have the list of instances. Each of workflow instance is as an assigned label and runs against a specific revision. So each new instance runs against the published version, but if any instance already is running, we'll keep pointing to their original version. In this case, as you can see here, all the instances have been terminated or completed. So after the start, we begin with two sequential verification steps. So right now we have here the identity verification, and after that we do a credit analysis. Once those checks are completed, the application reaches a manual approval step. So here a loan officer will review the results of all prior checks, considers any risk indicators, and makes the final decision to approve or reject this loan. Actually, this step has also a timeout of 5 days, and if it is not reviewed within this specific period, will be escalated to the lead. If the loan officer is also fully confident with the decision, they have also the option to escalate to the manager and move this for additional review before making the final decision. If the application is approved or rejected, as you can see here on the left side, they have the option, the workflow will proceed to post-approval tasks. So here we log some information for reporting and auditing, and you will see how these will be handled in our dashboards. And finally, we also notify the user whether they have been approved or declined. Here on the manager side, the process is really similar, but we have here an additional step where additional information can be requested. In case documentation is submitted, the lead needs to review it again. So we have this go-to node pointing back to our human activity related with the lead. However, if 30 days pass without submission, the request will just expire. So as you can see here, this version of the workflow is fully functional, but as you'll see in a moment, it can be even more efficient with a few improvements that now that the editor is more powerful and also supports agent orchestration. So first, as the initial step, we want to include here some income verification where we can validate the declared income to ensure it is consistent with the current information. So since we have already here two independent activities, we can place them inside of a parallel flow. So with this way, all activities will run at the same time, and the process only waits for the longest one to finish before moving to the next stage. So let's just copy these activities to inside our parallel flow. Let's copy also the credit check. With this, we can just remove these two sequential activities. So let's do it. Let me just select here, delete both. And as I mentioned, since we want to include income verification, let's also add here a third path and include here our new automatic activity where we need to call our specific activity for income verification. So in that case, we have here our validate proof of income, and we'll need to set also the request ID to ensure correspond to our specific loan request. So this optimizes time and also improves the overall efficiency.
Very nice, Teresa. I think this is a very smart approach. By executing multiple paths in parallel, each containing one or more activities, I think that we'll be able to significantly speed up the process. And I think this is especially valuable for very complex workflows.
Exactly. And actually, we optimize the process and get faster results, especially because some of these checks depend on external systems that can take a while to respond. Actually, we have another thing to do here because outside of the workflow, we don't have direct access to the outputs of the activities inside it. So because of that, we need to, after the parallel execution, have here a specific service action in order to provide the current status of those validations. So because of that, we have here a specific service action to get the validation status. So let's call it. This will output the current status of the activities inside this specific parallel flow. So let's just rename this outcome to valid and update our condition to have our corresponding valid status. So let's just update here. And nice.
Okay, this is nice work, Teresa. You've cleaned up the logic with parallelism, but the workflow still feels pretty complex. And I notice a few activities are duplicated across various branches, like to send emails. Do you think you can simplify this workflow a little bit more?
Yes, we can, Russell. And actually, that is where usability comes in. So instead of building the same activities in multiple places, we can now point to any activity within the same flow and reference its logic directly. So this means we can create it once and it can be used throughout the workflow. So here, and as you mentioned and really well, we have a very good example with the send email activities. So we have here our ends. We can just change this for a go to flow step. And for this specific case, let's just point this for the send request email here on the left side. And with that, we can just clean up our process and remove this previous activity. We can do exactly the same here for the reject branch. So let's do the same. For this specific case, let's just send this for the reject email. So let's update that. Let's just do it again. Send reject email. Perfect. And with that, again, we can remove the previous one. And lastly, we have exactly the same scenario here for the expire branch. So let's just add here a go to flow step. And in this case, send again for the send reject email activity. So with that, we can just remove this. So with this way, if you want to add another service action or update an expression inside of these specific activities, we no longer need to make changes in multiple places. As you can see here, we had 5 activities for sending emails, but with this reusability, we managed to reduce them for just 2 activities in total. So yes, in fact, Russell, this gives us much more agility and flexibility in managing the process.
Okay, very nice. With the workflow simplified and reusable activities in place, I think it's going to be a lot easier to maintain and update this. So, also, it's much clearer for anyone reviewing the process too. So, what's next? You mentioned something about AI-driven decisions earlier, right?
Exactly. So currently, the loan approval is done manually by a loan officer, but now with AI Agent Workbench, we can add an AI agent directly into the workflow to analyze and process the data, helping to streamline the decision-making process. So in fact, the development team told me recently that they have already implemented an AI agent powered by LLM that reviews these loan details and makes a recommendation to approve, reject, or even escalate this loan. So I think we can start testing it right away.
Okay, this sounds impressive. So the agent uses the data collected throughout the workflow to make its decision?
Yeah, exactly. So the agent receives the current loan data as inputs, use the LLM to analyze it, and outputs a specific decision label. Then the workflow will branch dynamically based on that specific recommendation.
Okay, Teresa, this sounds powerful. Can we see this in action?
Yeah, we can wrestle. So let's set the AI agent into our workflow and see how this performs in real time. So in fact, a while back, a colleague even left here a comment on this activity, flagging it for future automation. So finally, we are making that happen today. So let's go ahead. We just need to remove these human activities since it's no longer needed. And with that, we need to call our agent. So let's here just add a new automatic activity. We have here our agent assistant application. So let's set that. And for this specific case, we want to call the validate requests service section. So we just need to pass our request ID. As you can see, our automatic activity was automatically renamed for our name of the service section. And we have also here a small icon stating that, okay, this activity is different. So before to publish this workflow, we have a couple of things to do. So this specific service action on fetch more data, it's no longer needed. So let's just remove that. With that, we can update our condition with output of our agent. So let's do that. And let's do the same exactly for the reject one. And since we have here some information to log for our dashboards, right now we have a status reason because our agent will output a specific status reason related with the decision. So let's just update this specific service action with the output of our agent. And because right now this will be automated decision done by our agent, let's set this to true. Let's do the same here for the reject one. So we need to log our status reason and update the automated decision to true. And lastly, for the non-confident branch, we also want to log our status reason, but because these will be escalated for a specific loan officer, the decision will not be automated. So we just needed to publish the workflow. It's publishing. So to watch this in action, we will trigger a specific loan request instance in the system. So we'll submit a loan request and trigger this specific workflow. So to do that, we just need to return to our banking portal. So let's do that. Let's select here our personal loan. For this specific use case, let's select, I don't know, for example, $19,000 for like 27 months, for example, or less can be like 21. Seems reasonable. So we don't want life insurance. We need to submit our proof of income because it's mandatory. So let's select here our proof of income. Let's continue and submit our specific loan application. So here we can see our submitted requests and we can confirm that this one has already been created successfully, as you can see. So in fact, this number, so the 1389 is a request loan ID, and we'll see now how we can take advantage of this instance label to map this specific request ID directly into our workflow instance. So please keep in mind this specific number, 1387. So right now we just need to go back again to our workflow. So let's do that. And we need to go to the workflow instance in the portal where we can track this specific request as it moves to the process. And actually, I don't know if you are aware, but do you know how I can quickly assess this page? So instead of trying to find operations manually, I can now use this new search tool in the editor to jump to anywhere. So you can open this search from this operation here on the top bar, or by using a command key shortcut. That was what I used. So here, let's open this specific check instance list. Let's just remember here our request number, so 1387. And as you can see here, we have here the first entry, and we can see the instance already labeled with our specific request ID. This is the instance we want to verify, and the status is already marked as completed. So let's check this specific instance. All right, so the workflow executed the verification steps in parallel. As its verification finished, the workflow aggregated the results. Since the status was valid, the AI agent begins its evaluation, it reviewed the data, analyzed the risk factors, and for this specific case, it's decided to approve the loan.
Wow. Okay, this is great. However, I'd love to understand why the AI agent made a particular decision. Is there any way that we can get insights into the reasoning behind this recommendation?
Yeah, it is. So visibility is key, Russell, as you know, especially when we are using AI agents. So it's important that we just don't get a decision, but also a clear explanation of why that decision was made. So by doing so, we can understand the reasoning behind this specific recommendation, build trust in our system, and also ensure compliance. I can show you the agent decision because the information, as I told you at the beginning, is being logged. So we can just go to here for our dashboard from back office to see the details. Here we can see that we have here our request ID. It was assigned to the agent and the status is already marked as approved. So let's take a closer look into this specific decision. Let's open the history logs. And okay, we can see here that the AI agent approve these requests. Right below the decision, you'll notice here the explanation section. So it highlights the key reasons behind this specific recommendation. And in this case, the AI agent notes that the customer has a very good credit score and a manageable payment income ratio.
Oh, this is fantastic, Teresa. So having this clear explanation really helps build confidence in the AI decisions for sure. And then I think it's also going to make it a lot easier for loan officers and auditors to trust this process. They're going to know that they can see the why behind every recommendation.
Actually, that is our goal. So now, Russell, let's explore another scenarios where the AI agent rejects or even escalates the specific loan for a human. So to do that, we just need to go back again to our portal and submit a specific loan request. So let's do that together. Let's go back here to our portal. We just need to select here personal loan. For this use case, let's select, for example, I don't know, $30,000 seems reasonable for like 36 months. In this case, let's select, for example, life insurance to see how the agent will handle this. And because the proof of income is mandatory, let's just submit that. So I just need to, I read the terms and submit our application. Perfect. Again, let's double check our requests that we have here in our list. So as you can see, we have here the specific request ID successfully created. And currently our number, it's the 1388. So it's the number that we need to memorize to check again in our workflow instances. Currently, the status is under approval. So let's go back again to our portal just to see and double check these instances. Okay, so we have already here our request loan ID, the 1388, and as you can see here, the status is currently active. So let's take a closer look to see what is happening here. Let's hold on. Okay, so we got a different decision. For this specific case, the AI agent escalated this request to a human for a decision. So again, as we have the logs from our dashboards, let's double check the decision to see and understand the reasoning behind the escalation for the human. So let's open again. We can see that we have here already our request ID. So let's open that and see again the history log to see the reasoning behind this. Okay, so the agent notes that the loan includes life insurance, which required further expert review despite the very, very good credit score. Okay, so before we continue, we just need to assign this for a specific human to take a decision within this specific 5 days. So in this case, let's select, for example, our manager, Eddie, to review this specific request ID. So let's assign to him. Okay, I think we have time. So if you want, we can try another scenario and in order to understand if we can get a different decision from our agent. So let's go back again to our portal and select another loan amount. So for this specific case, let's select like a huge amount, like, I don't know, 48 seems okay. For like 12 months or less, I don't know, like, okay, 15 seems perfect. Let's see if we can get a different decision with that. We don't want right now to select the life insurance, so let's just upload our proof of income since it's mandatory. And let's try again. Okay, I just need to, I read the terms and submit the loan request. Perfect. Again, let's just double check the request ID in order to understand which workflow instance is running. The request ID was again successfully created, and we can see that we have here our 1389 request ID. So let's take a closer look right now into the workflow instance to monitor the progress. So let's go back again here to the portal. Okay, so we have here our request loan ID. Let's select that to see the details. It's currently active. Okay, the AI agent is running, so let's just refresh the page again to see if we got a different decision. Okay, so for this specific case, the AI agent decided to reject the loan. Let's see the reason behind this specific recommendation. So let's just, again, go back to the back office. As you can see here on the details, the AI agent rejected this specific request. So let's just see the details and the log information for this reason. And okay, so the monthly payment is higher than the income per month. So this leaves no room for living expenses, making it impossible for maintaining a good quality of life. Okay.
Wow. Okay. This makes perfect sense. It's great to see that the AI is not only making decisions, but it's also clearly explaining why it made the decisions and the reasons behind them. So this is really starting to bring some high value to the table, Teresa.
For sure. So we have just finished building the flow and integrated with AI agents. Really excited stuff. But before we leave, since the bank is still in testing phase, for now, let me open here the revision history to just roll back to our previous version before the agent was added. Actually, this way, we keep reliable human oversight until the AI agent is fully validated. So I think our specific revision without the AI agent is this 49, and okay, it is correct. So let's just restore this version to ensure that no one has this specific version with the AI agent available in the latest published version. So let's just wait a little bit for the load of this workflow, and with that, if it is our current human activity, we can just publish the workflow. So let's just see if it is our human activity. Okay, it's here. Let's just publish the workflow. Okay, so in short, we have transformed a 5 approval cycle into a 5 decision with AI explaining exactly why it made that call. So imagine cutting days or even weeks from your approval process, not by hiring more people, but by letting your workflow make a decision for you. So that is the future we are creating, and it is happening right now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Teresa. And thanks everyone for attending our session today. We certainly hope that this has been helpful. And if you have any questions for Teresa and myself, we will be around. So please feel free to find us after the session and we'll be happy to speak with you.